Yo, 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 YouTube. Welcome back to the Dollar Box Live with Charlie. Instead of me just jumping on by myself and bringing Charlie in, we're just going to be right parts of the right a team right off the start here. So, Charlie, how was your holiday weekend?
Oh, it was fantastic.
Yeah,
Was it not the best weather we've had for years?
yeah, it really
Um,
was, really was.
yeah, had to
Yeah,
bring out. Go ahead.
un- until today, I had the doors off the Jeep and the top off the Jeep, and then today happened, so it was a little bit of a wet ride home, but.
Yeah, a little
Yeah, for all
surprise rain.
weekend, it was amazing.
Yeah, I had to bring out the sunblock.
Yeah,
'Cause it
yeah,
was close to 90 degrees. But yeah, had a great time. We had friends and family up at the recreational property up north. Got on
mhm,
the four wheelers for a little bit with my son.
nice.
Had people getting some of their first experience on things like that. Like one of our neighbors' families came up, and they have a young boy that's a little bit younger than my kids.
Sure,
And his first time he got to drive the lawn tractor, and first time riding on a four
fun.
wheeler on the property and stuff. So lots of good times, lots of good memories.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, anytime you get a holiday weekend like that and it's stuff you can do with your kids and be outside, yeah, that's amazing. We had a little party for Luna on Saturday and did a walk with some friends, so that was a lot of fun. It's nice when you have nice weather for something like that. And
It is. It
they
really
played
is.
water balloons, and I grilled meat sticks and meat pucks, and yeah, we had a great old time and couple of drinks, so a little bit of a fire
Yep.
pit. Got some work done outside. Got some landscape stuff done. My yard is fairly landscape heavy, so it
Yeah.
was nice to have an entire actual holiday weekend and nail some of that and drive around without the Jeep, without the tops and the doors on was nice and freeing. And yeah, it was. Yeah, we had a great weekend here too. So I'm glad it went well for you guys.
Yeah.
So, all right. So welcome everybody into the live here. If you're just joining us, Bubba, first one to pipe in here says, "Hello, guys. Hello, Bubba. I believe this is the first time you've expressed yourself in the chat here, so we appreciate that. Happy to have you. Let us know, if you have any questions, jump in with feedback. This is all about open forum. We're just trying to shout out some ideas. So for those of you who haven't maybe watched this before or have and just need a refresher, basically our plan here was to take me, who's a little bit more of a veteran card seller on eBay, and Charlie, who's more recently he's been in the hobby for a while, which I think is important. If you're going to sell, you need to at least understand the hobby first. But he hasn't really been a reseller before, and he's kind of jumping into that and really taking off. So
I'm a
we
noob.
yeah, he's a noob. I wasn't gonna say that. You said it, not me. Um, so anyway, the point here of this live chat is to kind of bring in some of that new perspective and bring in some of that experience and create some path forward, I guess, essentially, right? Try to help everybody out. And we've learned from the chat. I learned a lot about media mail, which I'd never even thought about twice before. You can see I got a little bit of sun underneath my
Yeah,
hat.
yeah, you
I don't
got
know what I'm looking
got the old line across the
at.
forehead.
Anyway, so yeah, so that's sort of the point of this show, and we want it to be interactive. We want chat, we want activity. It's most of my videos on my channel. If you watch my channel, it's me just kind of showing what's going on. A lot of it is sales stuff or things I've bought or card shows. Me walking around, pick up videos, that kind of stuff. So I wanted to add something that was going to be a little bit more interactive and get some viewers involved. So that's the premise for the show. Let's take a look at our first topic. So the other thing I try to do is I try to have 3 to 4 topics, something like that, so just so that we don't go totally off the rails. We tend to run longer than intended, usually about 2 hours each week, um, which is fine. I'm okay with that, but it's nice to at least have a little bit of structure thrown in there throughout the event. So the first thing I wanted to talk about a little bit about was some listing strategies. Charlie had asked me a little bit earlier this week, and actually a lot of these topics come up from me and Charlie's conversations. And I go, hey, I haven't even thought about that. I've been listing stuff for 20 years. Like it's just old hat to me, these tricks. And Um, so why don't you tell me a little bit about uh, kind of where you're at with listing and where you were struggling and where you were finding success.
Yeah, for sure. So the funny thing is I thought I was doing pretty good after a while. You start out and it's painfully slow. And then I kind of adjusted a few things based on some of our early conversations and thought I was doing pretty well, but I was still in a position where, I'd get home from work, have dinner, spend a little time with my family, and then I know you do things in the morning a lot of times. I'm more of a night
Yep.
person.
Yep.
But then I would go to list some cards and it'd be 11 o'clock already. And I was like, man, I don't know that I'm doing as much as I should be. So,
Mhm.
so I kind of, hit you up for some information on that. And I think I asked you, what's the most you've listed in a night? Considering you've worked a full day, you come home, it's
Mhm.
not the only thing you're doing. And our numbers were way off, way off. I mean, I
Yeah.
was to a point where I was pretty happy if I got 10 cards out there at a night. And, but I felt like something was missing. Like I'm looking around at my desk and there's stacks here and stacks there and stacks behind me you can't see right now. Stacks up on a shelf to my left. I'm surrounded by cards right now. And I'm starting to get
Lucky.
enough in yeah, I'm starting to get enough inventory where I started
Mhm.
realizing, gosh, at the pace I'm going, this might take me 5 years to list these cards.
Yeah.
So initially, I invested in a little studio photo box.
Yep.
I was taking all my pictures in there with my phone, and then I would crop it. And then on my laptop, I would pull up some comps on every single card to
Mhm.
understand, unless I had one really similar. Um, because when I would list it on my phone, then it would suggest some prices, but I always felt like those are pretty wonky. Like there's a
Yeah.
lot of mismatches. Oh,
They
here's an
are.
auto card. Well, that's not what
Right.
I'm listing, right? I'm
Right.
listing a base card.
Right.
So,
Or they give you
um,
a price range of like 99 cents to $112. Well, that doesn't
right.
really help you.
Right. So I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, that's not enough. So then I was pulling up comps on everything, but that's very time consuming as well.
Sure.
So between the extra time I was taking on the photos, and I do agree that photos are important. But there's some things you can tweak and still get a high quality photo without doing
Right.
all the things I was doing. Um, and then understanding the comps and understanding more so that as a low end seller, volume is more important than high margins and
Yeah.
top dollar,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
So I was spending an inordinate amount of time to make
Mhm.
30 to 50 cents on a card. Well, that's
Right.
not a good value prop, right? So I took some of your advice going into this holiday weekend and I stopped using the studio box. I just
Mhm.
started rolling out my black mat and taking a picture against that black mat. Still got to crop it, but I found that I was more mobile then. So
Yeah.
I was posting stuff at my land. I was posting stuff when I'm on a break or a lunch at work. And then instead of worrying about the comps, I really just started sorting my cards more to say, this is a pile of just plain old base cards. This is a
Yep.
pile of inserts. This is a pile of parallels. And kind of just starting to build in my mind that level of tiers for each of those cards. Now,
Yep.
if there's an insert that looks really nice or something special about a card that I
Mhm.
feel, I'm still going to go out and check a comp for it.
Mhm.
But the 300 NASCAR base cards I have, those are all going out there for a buck 50, and I'm not going to think about it again.
Right. Right.
You know, so I have just in the last couple of days, I've probably tripled or more the amount of listings I can get up, enough so that as I hit my monthly limit for listings on my free seller account with eBay,
Yeah.
I've had 2 days off now waiting for the start of a new month, and I keep looking around like I've got the itch, like I need the list. I need the
Mhm.
list.
Yeah,
So
you're gonna definitely need to get to a store here
yeah,
pretty
I
soon
think
because
I'm
yeah,
very
that's
close to that. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so a lot to unpack there, but we did talk about this earlier this week and about some of, you'd expressed some of your struggles with listing numbers. And I list quite a few cards in a short period of time. It's about 45 seconds a listing for me. And I do it all on my phone. Take the photo with my phone. I create the title with my phone, things like that. So if I have something that I've never listed before, I don't know much about, whatever, then I might do a little bit more research in it. Yes, if it's a 2022 Mike Trout base card from a paper set, let's say tops, I'm gonna ask $3 for that, 2.99. If the last one sold for four and one sold before that for two, I really don't care. I'll put it at three, best offer. I'll probably end up taking less than $3 for it anyway
Right.
because it's just a card I want to move. It's not something I'm looking to pay the bills on. So yeah, you really have to. I think the biggest key if you're going to sell low end cards is knowing where to invest your time. The money is easy. It's fun to go out and buy and be at shows. Like that's a hobby part of it, really, of the business. But yes, you have to list, you got to ship, you got to do all those things, and you have to figure out, your best path to accomplish that. Now, Bubba mentioned here earlier, actually, is he on? Yeah, that he uses a smaller, cheaper Canon scanner. He can do 8 cards at a time, and that works great for him. And I think that's wonderful. I don't list from a computer, so a scanner doesn't help me. Most of the time, I'm listing like spare time at work, or I'm my daughter's watching a show, and I grab 20 cards and I sit down on the couch and I snap the photos and I get them listed. So I guess I look at it as I want to keep it as simple as possible. So I want the title to state the main things that matter. You don't have to put the team name on every single one. You don't have to put last year's MVP. You don't, those things are a lot of that stuff is overstated unless you have something like a really big card where you really want to push for a bigger dollar sale. And I just try to copy from a previous listing and take a new photo and just replace the photo. My description is literally just my title. I just long press, copy, paste right into my description because no one reads descriptions anyway. Now maybe on something of vintage where there's a crease or a stain or something like that, I might expand on that a little bit. But certainly anything modern, um, there's no way I would spend the time on that because it's a volume game, right? So
Right.
if you need to sell volume, you have to list volume. Um, Now there's other you know sellers that buy like really nice scanners, $1,500 scanners, and they're scanning all their cards in that way. And I don't find the photo to be the thing that's time consuming. To me,
Yeah.
it's getting the card out. I got to look at what set it is, blah blah blah. The snap the front, snap the back, and yes, I take a picture of the backs of every one of my cards. That's the other thing I don't like about scanners. Most people only post the front. I think the back of the card is just as important, and I
I
don't
do
want to get
front and
burned.
back.
Yeah, I don't want to get burned by a buyer either. So for me, it's really easy. I snap the front, flip the card over, snap the back. I go sell similar from another listing that's like that. It asks me right away, do you want to keep these photos? Well, of course not. This is a different card. So I just say no, and then boom, upload my 2 photos. Change whatever I need to change in the title, change whatever I need to, or copy to the description, whatever. Make sure my price is right. Now my shipping should be the same, right? Because I don't charge any shipping. My envelope size is the same on every single card, so you really don't have to touch any of that stuff. It's literally just price, quantity, picture, and then title, copy title, the description. Those are the only things that I, really have to change when I'm making a listing. I list probably 150 to 200 cards on an average day. So I'm listing quite a few. I have about almost 27 and a half thousand listings right now, so 27,500 listings. in a little over 2 years. So I'm pounding them out, and I'm selling a lot too. So it's not like you're just listing; you're also, those numbers are coming off as you're selling as well.
Right.
Um,
And the other thing about the scanner, I think we talked about this before. I tried using not a card scanner, but I have an all-in-one printer scanner, and I
yep,
tried scanning some cards early on. I really struggled with the, I guess I'll call them high def refractors with a lot of
yeah,
color in them and shine. Like the cards just looked flat to me coming out of
right,
there
right,
when I want to see the sparkle. I want to see all the designs in that refractor. And for me, I just felt like I was missing out using the scanner. Otherwise, I had thought about trying that too, taking multiple cards in a single scan. But
yep,
um, yeah, I just didn't do it for me. So I stuck with the phone. Plus, like we talk about going mobile with it.
yeah. Plus, you have to look at. I mean, you want a quality photo. I don't disagree with that. I mean, as a buyer myself, I want to see that. But if I'm buying a $2 card, do I need it to be scanned and so I can zoom in and look at it? Like, I don't know who's shopping that way for those kinds of cards. Usually it's, you're a Barry Sanders guy and you're missing this 1991 Upper Deck card that's $2, base
Sure.
card. You just buy one. You buy one from a dealer that you can trust, which, so I think my reputation and my service and my shipping quality and the constant comments of, wow, card was in great shape, I'm going to get it graded, that kind of stuff, that to me sells more of the quality product I'm going to give than maybe the slight increase of quality you get in a scan photo. I've seen a lot of scan cards too that like you said, I don't like them. It
Yeah.
looks fake. It doesn't. The shine looks off. The surface looks off. None of them, like, is it a fake? Is it, I mean, if you're buying $1 card, it's not a fake. But sometimes I'm buying $3,000 cards. Well, I don't want a fake $3,000 card, and those are going to be scanned. Obviously, if it's graded, that changes it. But looking at raw, I know if somebody takes a quality photo of it, I can see what I'm getting that way. If I get it and it has a surface scratch on it, you can always return it too. If there's something maybe you don't see that you would see in a scanner.
You just made me think of the puffy pirate shirt on Seinfeld when you said, "I don't want a fake card. I don't want to be a pirate."
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I don't want to. I don't. Yeah. I, I try to be really cognizant of how much time do I want to put in on a $1 card, because you could, in a real hurry, even if you're selling a lot of cards, in a real hurry, you could be making less than $2 an hour.
Yeah,
If you're spending all your time doing that, and like, like you and I have talked a bunch. We have families and kids, and we're doing this to help enrich and enhance our family lives, not take from it. And it's good. You have to spend some time on it. It is part of a hobby. You do have to. We do these videos every week. There's investments in all kinds of corners of this. Do I want to spend a lot of that just on listing a description or taking a photo? Not really. I don't.
yeah,
I don't know that. I don't know that I would sell my $1.50 Barry Sanders Upper Deck base card better with a scanner than I would with a photo. But that's just
yeah,
me. There's nothing wrong with scanners. If you want to do that and you want to list on a laptop or a desktop, that's great. I mean, and it can be a time saver for sure.
and I think the time lesson is what sunk in for me most over the past few days is that if I'm selling a card whose margin is less than 50 cents, do I want to spend a crazy amount of time on it?
Right.
You know?
Right. And you might list that card and it sits there for like 6 months, so
Right.
it's not even
Right.
like, okay, well, yeah, I'm spending this time on it, but tomorrow I'll have 50 cents more per card. So if I list 100 cards, I got 50. Like, it's not that. When you're selling the low end cards, they aren't all instant flip type stuff. It's not all hot liquid cards, you know.
Right.
So
So once we get the picture, then we got to move on to listing it, and the
mhm.
the method we use to list it and then the comp, I guess, is still the two outstanding topics around,
Yep.
a complete listing. Um, as I said, I started sorting my cards a little bit differently when I'm listing. And what I did is I started, for example, that NASCAR lot that I bought at the New Franken card show last week.
Yep.
So I went through those. All the Panini Donruss Racing are together in a pile by year. All the Panini Prism Racing are together by year in a pile, so that I can do what you're saying is just post the first one, or list the first one, I should say. I'm
Yep.
talking like I'm on Facebook or something.
Right.
Um, but list that first one and then just sell similar, sell
Yep.
similar, sell
Yep.
similar.
Yeah, try to keep your cards and themes. Even if I buy lots, like let's say I buy a lot of NFL quarterback cards. When I get them, I'm going to sort them like, okay, these are all the Mahomes, these are all the Herberts. I try to find as much like as I can.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm listing, I don't have to change the player name. I don't have, I can maybe just change what set it is or what the card number is, whatever. Try to keep it as, and that's one of the things I don't like about some of the like bulk card listing programs. Um, I feel like a lot of times when you get those things scanned in, they miss a lot of what you're trying to put on there. Like it's not that accurate, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's a misperception on my part, but I don't know. And I list weird cards. I don't just list baseball cards. I list like, you know,
Big cards.
funny car driver cards and yeah, pig cards, right. Promo cards. These are from Inkworks. You know, my friend Jessica Alba here, you know. I don't know that those programs are really set up to do a lot of that stuff. So I'm gonna have that work to do on my own anyway. So um yeah, I think it's interesting topic and I don't think there's a wrong way to do it. I think I'm going to correct myself. I think there is a wrong way to do it, and that's spending way too much time on it. As long as you're not doing that and you're getting through the numbers, if it takes me 45 seconds to list, I would challenge that by scanning and doing it another way, you're doing it any faster, really. I
But
would think our timing is going to be pretty close.
I would say there's also a sliding scale, though, to Bubba's point. The higher the margins on a card, the more time you may invest. Now, there's
Yep.
certainly a cap. Nobody wants to spend an hour on a single card, right? But
Yep.
30 seconds for a $1.50 card versus maybe I take 2 minutes to make sure everything's just right with this $3,000 card,
Right. Right. Yeah, it's definitely relative to the price, and that's why I stress that because people will ask me, well, why don't you get a scanner and why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? And I'm like, it's a dollar card, dude. Like, I don't know that I've never really had somebody run me through the ringer on, hey, you didn't show this corner that well or whatever. And if they get the card and it's not in the condition they want, honestly, I just refund them.
Yeah.
I'm not going to spend my time for $1.50 to chase it down if the customer's unhappy and that was the way I chose to list it. And maybe something was there that they couldn't see, whatever. But that can happen to you when you scan stuff too.
Yeah.
The scanners don't get everything either. So I'm just going to address this question real quick. I don't think we're going to discuss this tonight. It's not in our topics, but it's definitely on my list to discuss in future episodes. So in fact, I'm probably just going to make a note of this. Maybe we'll touch on it next week. But Cards in the Closet asked here, with 27,000 cards listed, how do you organize them so you can pull them quickly? And that's obviously a pretty
The
robust
challenge.
topic. There's a lot, yeah. And like just as Charlie said, it evolves all the time. I have to constantly kind of switch around my drawers. I can show you some pictures and some video. I did make a video once of when I got my fireproof cabinets and kind of how I set those up, but it's even changed some since then, which was a little over a year ago. So I that's definitely a topic I want to cover. I get asked that quite a bit. So I will get you that information. It's just that's not where we're at for tonight.
I
We'll
will
try to stay
say,
on.
with
That's a
only
whole conversation.
with only 300 and some cards listed right now, I already find myself getting frustrated when it takes me more than 30 seconds to find a
Yeah.
card in my listed box.
And the reality of it is some cards are going to be harder for you to find than others.
Yeah.
I have 20 some thousand FARF cards listed. There are times when one of them isn't in the right place,
Yeah.
or I have to dig through enough stuff in order, to get the one that I'm looking for or whatever. And then there's other times where it's like, oh, I just listed these today. They're still literally in a pile on my desk. I didn't get to put them away yet. Here you go. As a matter of fact, one of the cards I just listed today is going out. I'm trying to find it. Since I happen to have them here, it's not the Battlestar. Yeah, it's the Battlestar Galactica. So this is Battlestar Galactica foil promo card. I listed it this morning and it sold today. So there's a lot of times where I don't even have to worry about it if you've got good stuff you're listing up for a good price. A lot of it'll sell right away.
Was it a
Um,
repeat buyer by chance?
I don't know. I'll have to check. I can check on the
Because
laptop
the
here.
reason I ask is because I think that's a potential callback to a topic from a few weeks ago, and that is
Yeah.
saved sellers.
Yep.
And then seeing new listings from saved sellers. So you build that repeat clientele, they
Yeah.
start saving you
Absolutely.
as a seller. That can be an exponential game changer for you.
Yeah, I definitely get, if you watch my sales day videos, you'll see a lot of times I cut the buyer's name off just because it's not relevant
Hmm.
to the conversation. I don't, maybe some people don't want it shared. I don't know. But anyway, when I do, you'll see a lot of times on there it'll say, repeat buyer or whatever. Let me see if I can get this to pull up here and I can tell you if it's a repeat buyer or not. Sales haven't been that good today, actually. I ran into a really good streak when eBay finally started working again, and was doing really well. But today was just slower. It wasn't like eBay wasn't working. I was getting offers. I was sending
Yeah.
offers. Like there was activity. Just didn't get that many sales today, and that's going to happen.
And
All right,
it's funny
where's
because I've heard you say that. I heard Bo talking about earlier in the week about slow Memorial Day sales too. For me,
yep.
I actually finally picked back up after about a week and a half of kind of a pretty dry spell. I know you and
Oh
I
yeah,
talked about that a couple times, but since like Friday, I for me, I sold 14 cards, which is a good push for me
sure.
being a small seller.
Yep. Yeah, it's. I mean, you got to have the right person looking at the stuff you just got listed. You have
Yeah.
listed, and it's a little more complicated. I lied. That was the wrong card. It's actually the Stargate card that I sold. I have a couple. Actually, I have 3 copies of this, so I was happy to
That
get one of
had
those
to
out the
be
way.
that actor's mother.
Yeah, who cares? I do that a lot with like people are like, "Why did you buy the auto of that player?" I'm like, "Dude, that guy's got a grandma. He might have only ever made it to the practice squad in the NFL, but grandma wants his autograph card.
Right. Right.
Wife, girlfriend, whatever." So the buyer of that card is not a repeat buyer. This is her first
Interesting.
purchase from me. So,
So you just caught him
but
when he happened to be searching for those Stargate
right,
cards.
and that's just it. These are all different promo cards. I've got Lost, I've got Charmed, I've got Firefly, a bunch of Firefly stuff, Serenity, um, Star Trek stuff, Daredevil. It was it's part of my expansion, which is also one of our topics tonight. But that was great. I got a buyer who was looking for TV promo cards. Maybe she'll be back.
Right.
And that's why I also think it's important to take a lower offer at times, especially on a new customer, because they're kind of testing you out, right? So they want to see your shipping time, if you ship nice, things like that. And she might just come back. And I'm not saying she even wants anything else, but let's say she does, she might come back and be like, "Well, I know this guy ships it right. I'm just gonna buy it and pay full." I have a lot of orders that got paid for full price, even though I accept offers. So it's not like just because you accept offers, you're never gonna sell anything. Um, I know Bubba had made a comment earlier about uh, he was pricing high and then taking offers, and he doesn't do that anymore. Now he's like 25% above the lowest listing and things like that. First of all, that would take a lot of comping work. because you'd have
Yeah.
to see, where your lowest card is, your highest card is. Um, I guess I would always try to get as much as I possibly can in a sale because why not? Like that's business. So if I can price it at 7.99 and get a buyer, I'd rather do that than price it at 5 just so I don't have to take offers. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? So like I price it at 7.99, somebody makes me an offer of 5, I might still sell it at 5, but
Sure.
I have the shot of getting the high price for it.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Versus if I
Absolutely that
just
makes
sell it
sense.
at 5 because it's 25% above lowest price.
Yeah.
Do you sell
Yeah.
more quantity that way? I don't know. Maybe. You'd have to. It's a different strategy,
And,
basically.
and that was something we talked about this weekend too, is that when I was getting bogged down in the comping process, I was also looking to see, you know, how what do I got to be at to be the first one in the search results, right? And I think you said to me, don't worry about that. Just figure out what margin you want on it. And if
Yep.
someone wants that car, they're going to buy that car. Or you'll get an offer and sell it for, whatever it's going for anyway.
Yep.
And I think there's a lot of truth to that. I see that happening just with my lower volume of sales where I have people that go out, just click on buy it now and don't ask anything, send an
Yeah.
offer, even though I have offers on. And then I have others that, really want to drive down as low as they can go on those
Mhm.
offers.
It also gives you the opportunity to bundle some stuff, right? So like I would never take just a straight up $1 offer on a single card because you don't make anything on that. If you paid anything for that card, you're at break even at best.
Yeah.
But if they offer $1 on 3 cards that I paid 15 cents a piece for, 10 cents a piece for,
Yeah.
and I can ship them all together. I only pay the 130 cent, finance fee. There's no reason not to do that. There's profit in
Right.
that. And those are going to be cheap cards, obviously, anyway. So it's nothing where you're like, oh, I'll never get one of these again. I better not sell it cheap. Um, I just did that yesterday with a couple of Farv based cards. Guy made me a dollar offer on 2 cards. I'm like, well, I got 17 cents, so 34 cents plus 60 cents shipping. I got a buck. I mean, I got about a buck 20 in it after all my expenses, so I made 80 cents.
Right.
Now, that's not breaking the bank, but those are 2 cards that would just sit there normally
Exactly.
that I normally sell for $1.29. So it's not like, I gave them a ginormous discount or anything. And it allows my customers to get a better deal. I believe it's smart for you to, when you get savings from orders from customers, you save on shipping, save on whatever, that you give some of that savings to your customer.
Sure.
I think that allows everybody to win. Is that guy going to come back and look at cards from me again if he's a farm collector and feels like he can make some bundle deals? Yeah, why wouldn't he? You know. So that's kind of the gist of my listing, the way I list. The other thing is if I have a listing that is different that I don't know anything about and I do comp, like here's this lost promo card, right? I don't have anything like this in my store. I don't know what they sell for. It's a San Diego Comic Con like handout card or something, I think, from years ago. So what I do is I go look up that card, but not necessarily to comp. That's part of it. But I do it just to look at one that was sold and how it was listed.
Yeah.
And then instead of recreating that wheel, I just go right into that listing and I go sell one like this. It's going to automatically pull up the all the category listing, the description, all that stuff. Might tweak it a little bit if I want it to look more like my type, the way I word my listings and stuff.
Hmm.
But that's it. And then I again just got to snap my 2 photos. So since I'm doing it right on my phone, I'm just hitting sell one like this. It's easy for me to just take a quick photo and throw my photos because you can't steal someone else's photos. Yes, that is stealing. So I do that, and that gets me through it pretty quick. And then I already have the comp because I can see I'm going off a card that was sold.
Right. You brought up
So
a funny point about the title too, and how everybody's got their own flow to it. You see folks that'll list it with the player name first. I'm a
Right.
I'm a guy that I put the year, the manufacturer, and the set, and then the number, and then the name. But you see a lot of different things out there,
Hmm.
um, but you see enough of those different things that you know that each one of those individuals does every card that way.
Right. Yeah, it's almost part of your branding to some degree. And I'm like you. I have like I do year, I do manufacturer, I do player's name. Then if it's a special card like a parallel or an insert, then I do in all caps what the special part of that card is.
Oh, you're a caps
So like
guy.
purple refractor, right? I want that to really stand out. And then I'll do card. I'll just type the word card because card is something that's commonly searched for. And then I put the number of that card. And if it's numbered, then I do the slash and how many it's numbered out of for serial numbering. So
See,
there's a few things you might have to adjust per listing, but yeah, you
yeah,
should have kind of a standard of how you
I
list.
am I am a strictly non-caps guy. I don't like the
Yeah,
caps. Stop yelling at me.
right. Yeah, and I would never like. I see people like all caps their entire
Yeah,
listing. I would never
yeah,
do that. But the specific parts I want to stand out, like purple refractor. Well, that's something that somebody's really looking for, and it's actually a purple refractor, not like people who just put all those damn words in their listing, even though
yeah,
the card has nothing to do with it. So I feel like it just kind of, you know, makes it stand out a little bit, but legitimately. Bubba has a question here that maybe we can address. How high will you promote? Do you feel it's the necessary evil in today's platform, or do you promote minimum 2% or not at all? I don't really promote at all. I've had a couple of cards where um, the player was hot at the right time of the card that I had it, and I threw a promotion on it just because I wanted to make sure it sold before the player wasn't hot anymore. Um, but it's pretty rare. I don't. I'm selling $3 cards. I don't really feel like I need to put a promotion on it.
yeah,
If it sits there for 6 months or 9 months instead of 3 weeks, I don't care. Um, I have enough sales volume and I've made enough. I try to keep my margins as slim as I can so that I still make enough to that I'm not doing any of this for free. I don't think I want to add something on there, and also just I kind of don't like the force of eBay saying, well, if you don't pay us promotional fees, you're not going to sell anything. Like that's stupid. I pay you fees to get a sale. Um, I don't know. I think there's other ways to promote your listings without paying another expense to get your listing sold. And to me, that's building your brand, offering good customer service, having good feedback, shipping quickly, packaging well. I think those are the things that will promote you to sell more because you'll get those, like Charlie said, the repeat buyers and things like that. Uh, I don't really want to catch one quick sale out of somebody who doesn't care who I am or what I'm doing, pay eBay another fee to do that,
yeah,
and then that's it. That's the end of that sale. Like I said, maybe on a specific card or something, I would do that, but
yeah.
um,
So,
yeah,
so this is
eBay gets enough
where
money out of me.
it's good that we have different perspectives because you've been in this for a while and you've reached a high volume of sales, whereas I'm still just starting out. I've got a totally different take on that, and I can completely see where you're coming from with it. And
Yeah,
I see a future where I would probably feel the same way, but I'm still trying to build that brand
hmm,
and that those repeat buyers, and I'm impatient sometimes.
sure,
so so I try to avoid promoting if at all possible just because the margins aren't high, I can't
right,
afford to do that. But if I've got a card sitting out there for, from my early days of listing, so 3 months ago now, and I'm
hmm,
still not getting much interest on it, and I've dropped the price as low as I can go, I I may try and promote it just to see if I can get it to
sure,
flip real quick. Or if it's a card that we've talked about me being a baseball guy, and I watch a lot of the baseball news and stories that are in the media. I have a card listed and I'm like, something seems off because this guy's all over the media. My comp is good. I feel good about that. I've looked at the listings 3 different times to see, did I mislist something? Is something missing I should add? And if I can't figure it out, then I will tend to say, okay, let's promote it and see what happens.
Sure.
But I'm going to monitor that card. I have a lower volume. I can monitor a single card if a lot easier than you probably can. But
Sure.
I want to see the results from that. I want to see the
Yeah.
views climb so I know I'm getting my money's worth. Now, they always recommend like 12% as the promotional rate.
Yeah,
I
that's
have a hard
insane.
time doing anything over 9%. I usually
You're
back it
already
down to
paying them
9.
12%,
Yeah.
in fees. So, okay, so couple things there. You're right. I have enough listings that I could give a crap about one single card. And if it sits there, even the cards I'm asking more money for, doesn't matter to me because there'll be enough volume that whatever, that card doesn't stand out in my head. I do accept offers, so I feel like I can promote the sale that way. I'd rather give a discount to my customer than more money to eBay. So I feel like that's a way that I can get that business. If I'm at $20, another seller's at $20, but his is promoted, but I'll take an offer and they offer me 18, still a better deal for the customer, and I'll make the sale before the guy that paid the promoted price. Also, I believe there's a really easy way for you to promote listings, especially like your comment of listings that have been around for a while. And that's end those listings and sell similar. Put them out
Yeah.
there. It's free. It takes me about, I'm good at it now because I've been doing it now for a while. It takes me maybe 2 to 3 minutes to end 200 listings and get them relisted, or sell similar, I guess is the correct term. And puts it right in front of new eyes, and you'll make sales out of some of those items, and it doesn't cost you any more to eBay. You get that money in your pocket.
What do you use for the reason when you end the listing?
I just click end listing. That's it. And it says, "Are you sure you want to do this?" Yes, I do. I do that on a laptop or desktop. I don't do it on my
Yeah.
phone because I
I
want to do it in chunks.
thought I got prompted every time I try to end a listing. It says, why? Is there an error on the listing? Is
So,
the card no
no.
longer available? I get a drop down in.
So when you're in the seller hub, if you click on listings, it'll bring your oldest listings first as your first
Mhm.
page.
Yeah.
So it's real easy that way. You don't have to sort or do any of that. And what I do is I click so it's got all the filters and stuff. I don't use any of that, but then it's got I don't have my glasses on, so you got to be patient with me. But I'll click the main top action box, which
Mhm.
in turn clicks all 200 of the listings underneath that.
Yeah.
And then I simply click actions and listings. Then it's going to say something. You're right. It's going to say something like, "Are you sure you want to do this?" or whatever. I say yes. Boom! It just kills all 200 of them right there. Then I go up on the top of Seller Hub. I go to my ended listings um, link, if you want to call it, hyperlink on the left-hand menu,
Mhm.
and it'll show you all those 200 listings. So again, I click the top action box, which will fill in the first 50. So I do them in chunks of 50, which I like because if I screw up, at least I'm not losing 200 listings.
Yeah.
But I do that. I click sell similar. I click list. Once I know they've gone through and they've relisted, then I go back to that chunk of 50 on the ended listings and I delete them because you don't want to accidentally upload them twice or
Right.
whatever. Um, so I've been doing that for a while. The other thing is that I like about that, not just the promoting your older items part, it also gets you some really quick, cheap listings in. So if you
Yeah.
have a day where you're like, man, I'm really like today. So I work in land title. Well, the end of the month is insane. I had 14 closings today, so I had like I didn't even take a lunch. I just got something, got right back to work. Um, But for me, like I could take 5 minutes once or twice in that day, end listings, sell similar, get some new listings out on the table. Not new, but new, right? So
Right.
I'm gonna sneeze, I think. Excuse me.
Now that goes back to my free seller account too, which I think we talked about this. That if I were to do that though, it counts against my free listings for the month.
That's accurate. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have 70,000 listings that they let me have. So, or 60,000, I can't remember the number anymore. Somewhere up there. So at 27,000, I could end quite a few listings
Sure.
and and not come anywhere near that. I never worry about my listing count at all. Whatever I have, it's not enough. I need more. I need more. I need more. Let's. Good friend of mine, Bo, who runs the 1 Million Cubs channel. I think you watch him in the morning sometimes, Charlie, and I know some of our viewers on here watch him as well. Um, he says it over and over again. It's listing and shipping and listing, because it's literally it. That should be your life if you're a low end card seller. Those two activities are what you can talk about promotions, you can talk about best offer listings, you can talk about how you do your photos, but you got to list and you got to ship when they sell. Like those are the two for sure. Um, Bubba here mentions comping is also educational. He's not a sports fanatic, so he doesn't have the advantage of knowing all the players, stars, etc. beyond the obvious, especially especially current. Uh, hey, I can totally relate to this because I don't
Yeah.
watch sports either, as weird as that sounds. I got into sports cards when I was a kid, and I used to watch the Cubs on the day games. I used to work for the Packers, and you know, I was young when Favre came out, and he was exciting to watch, and they won a Super Bowl and all that good stuff. I met Bart Starr a couple of times, just being around town, small town in Green Bay, so you run into the players. So that's kind of what got me into it. Um, but you're exactly right. I watch zero basketball. I hardly watch any baseball. The names on in baseball are insane. They change all the time. The starting lineup at the beginning of the season is not the starting lineup at the end of the season, even on a good team. The trade deadlines and blah blah blah. There's all this stuff going on, and I just don't follow much of that. I've got a soccer team I watch. I watch a little bit of the Cubs. Maybe I'll catch an NBA playoff game. That's about as far as it goes for me. So I agree. You're right. Comping is education. That's literally what it means. It's comparing. You're looking at, well, what do I have compared to what somebody else has, and what is my market then for what I have? And yeah, you're learning what you can price your card for. So I would never say there's no value in comping. I just think you have to manage the time spent versus the
Correct.
reward you could get from it. So if the last card sold for $4 and I sell mine for $3, I really don't care. Especially if mine was able to turn over faster. That makes sense. If I paid a quarter for it, right?
Yeah.
You know, so a lot of times I'll even look at that. I'll go, well, geez, these are selling for like $20, but I paid 50 cents for mine. I'll ask 18. I'll take 18 for it because that's a hell of a margin. I don't have to promote it, so I'm not giving the money to eBay. I'm giving the deal to the buyer, which I always think is a better option. And I should be able to sell it pretty quick if I'm the low man listed. So it's not like I take every single card I have and list it at the very top dollar or 10% above comps or whatever it is. Charlie said it earlier, and it's exactly the way my business model runs. I look at what do I want on my margin on this card. So to me, it's actually more important what I paid for the card than what I sell it for. Okay. So if I got a $20 card, but I only paid 10 cents for it, why wouldn't you take $18 for it? Right. If it's a $20 card and I paid $16 for it, I got to get at least 20 or I don't even have anything out of it. Now that wouldn't be a good purchase either, but they're not all winners, right? And or maybe a card was a winner when you bought it and it's not so much now. And there's nothing wrong with taking a loss on a card either if it gets you out of it and you can move on to something else.
And that's a good point I took from you as well. Like I was talking earlier about how I list cards. I've actually because I'm buying at different events and maybe not flipping them around right away. Like I've started listing like what did I pay per card on this pile,
Yeah.
so that
Yep.
when I go to list it, I know how much room I have to
Yep.
play with it. Because what was happening is I'd have a stack on my desk and it might be a week or two before I get to that stack. And I'm like, was that the pile I paid 20 cents a card for
Right.
or the pile where I really, didn't make much movement, and I paid 70 cents a card.
right.
So
That's one of the reasons I make videos, because I want to diary, what I paid for things or what I actually bought.
yeah,
And if you're buying quantity, which a lot of times we are, of course, uh, you might still have a hit or miss there where you're like, God, I don't remember what I paid for this. I'm sure it was like a quarter. I'll even say that sometimes in my sales videos, like, here, I sold this one, and I'll put the graphic on the screen. I sold the card for $5 or whatever, and I'll be like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I got this for like 50 cents out of that at that Green Bay show. Always have a pretty good idea of where I got something from, but might not have it all nailed. I know I made money on it.
yeah.
um, if I sold it, so I'm okay with it that way.
Yeah, I was
You
coming home thinking to myself, "Oh, I'll remember this when I go to it." And then as I started to build up more and more inventory, and the timing was taking longer and longer to get to all of it, I was like, I need to do
Well, then you
something
were
else.
you were taking too long to list.
I
So that
was.
that that did two things. It would just frustrate you and make you not want to list.
I was
And
definitely
listing
worried
isn't
about.
particularly fun anyway. Like,
Right.
it's the humdrum. Like, I get listing fatigue.
Yeah.
I'll have a big old stack. Like, this is the stuff. This took me 20 minutes to list this morning. So I listed a lot of cards. Now some of these there's quantity, and if I have quantity of something, I list this card, and then I just put 5 copies or whatever. I don't list each one individually unless they're vintage, because then condition can be so different. But anyway, um, I'll list a whole stack like that in the morning, and then I'm like, no, I'm done now. I don't want to list any for a little while. And I kind of have the benefit of I already have 27,000 listings, so it's not like I'm not going to have action in the day, no matter what. But yeah, I have my piles of stuff I need to get to, and a little shoebox full of stuff that needs to be listed. A couple of really good cards too. I still have that Kobe Bryant Sports Illustrated for Kids rookie, which I know will do pretty well. I just, for whatever reason, I just haven't listed it yet, even though I listed a ton of SI Kids stuff.
So I was
Um,
I was actually thinking about listing fatigue when I picked up the Screaming Goat this weekend, because every
yeah,
time I get fatigue,
nice. Wake you up, huh? You take a little, go like this, a little shot of
yeah.
whiskey, yeah, whatever it takes, whatever it takes. I used to be like, okay, well, I have to sit down and I got to get this much listed right now, and I kind of don't do that anymore. I always take a little, you know, box like this every day, every morning once I'm done packing orders. Because you're right, I'm a morning guy. I get up at 4 and I do my packing and a little bit of sorting, some organizing, whatever. And then I always fill a little box like this of stuff I need to list, and I bring that with me to work. And when I got downtime at work, or I just don't feel like dealing with the crap I have to do at work, it sort of splits my day back and forth, right? I don't have to list all day because I actually have other stuff to do. I do that stuff, then I can come back and be like, I don't want to deal with title right now. I'm going to do some cards. And,
Yeah.
uh, I'll list 20, 30 cards while I'm sitting there. And that's why it has to be mobile for me. I can't lug a scanner around or do any of that. I need to be able to list wherever I want to list at any time. And I'm not that particular on my photos, as long as it's got a decent shot of what the card is. Okay, so a 2021 Topps Mike Trout base card, right? Does somebody really need to see the individual photo of that card?
Yeah.
They know what they're getting. They know what it looks like. They know it's going to be in pretty good shape. It's new. If they don't, they have protection. They can get their money back. There's really, I don't know. As a buyer, I wouldn't care if you scanned it versus taking a photo.
As long as you can
So
see the good corners, you can see if there's any major dings on it. I mean,
yeah.
for low end cards, I think you're doing a pretty good job.
Well, and phones take such amazing pictures these days.
Yeah.
They're better than most cameras and stuff. Like, there's heck, I even have a scanning app on my phone, and I can literally just scan the card with my phone, and it'll automatically crop everything around wherever it found the corners of the card, corners and edges, and then it whites out, anything in the back. So there's even ways, not the best way, but there's even ways you can do it with your phone too. But again, I feel like that's a big time waster. I'm not going to crop. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to take a nice solid picture of the card, in that window size that eBay, automatically crops to or whatever, and I upload it and I'm done with it. I don't know. I don't want to think about it too much. Brian and Baba both point out that they feel like it's easier to sell cards when they do not have attachments to teams and players because they don't have emotion tied into it, which is
Yeah.
it makes a lot of sense. It really does. So I can see why it's almost a better business for somebody who's not a sports fanatic, right? Um,
Yeah.
let's see.
Em-
So we've got
Emotions always
MD's.
overvalue things.
Yeah, well, yeah, something to you is always going to be worth more than it is to the next guy.
Right.
So MD Sports Cards, I learned long ago selling stuff on eBay or anywhere, you make your money when you buy, not when you sell. That deserves an applause because I've been trying to stress that for a long time. Even when I talk to like other dollar boxers and stuff that have done this for a while, they always talk about like you said, the promoted listings and I'm like, well, what did you buy it for? Where did you buy into your margins and stuff? It's all about what you got on that price, because then it gives you so much room on the sell side.
Yeah.
If you got it for the right price. Now that's also easier said than done. Sometimes you just don't. There just aren't great deals out there, and I think I made a mention to you early last week. I said this is the first time ever I've been scouring eBay and I haven't hit any home runs. It
Yeah.
was for a good 2 or 3 days there. I just wasn't finding things I could buy. I found tons of stuff I could buy, but not how I wanted to buy it and
Right.
the price I wanted to buy it at. You have to be really careful of that. It's way more fun to buy than it is anything else. And sometimes I get too conservative. Like some of those 10-cent boxes, I should have just bought the whole damn boxes. And I even made mention that in my videos. Like I probably missed a little bit there. There was a other good value, and I cherry picked it pretty good too. I mean, I grabbed a lot of the stuff that I knew I could really do something with and make some money on. But um, that's okay. I didn't lose by not buying either because I don't have the pressure then that, well, now I've got a capital investment in this. I have to find a way to sell it for a profit. So anything you don't buy is also okay. You can't lose on something you don't buy. So
Right.
you can miss out, but you can't lose. Two different things. So, but MD Sports Cars, I agree with you 1,000%. It's really about making the right buys, getting the right deals. Um, that's again one of the reasons why I like to do the card shows videos because I want to try to show sort of my process, not just like searching the cards and looking through the boxes and trying to buy stuff that you think you could resell, but also trying to make that deal, trying to make a negotiation with the seller. I mentioned a lot about, well, I started digging in this box, but I only found one or two cards. I can't get my bulk offer on this, blah, 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 blah. I don't really care what the price is per card in the box. I know what I want to pay for it.
Right.
So then I have to get it into a position where that seller is going to say, okay, I'm willing to take what you want to pay for it because you're taking enough of my inventory at one time. So I have to make sure I get enough stack. If I'm in the $1 box, I do not want to pay $1 per card.
Right.
I want to pay 50 cents, 60 cents, maybe 75 cents if it's a really good dollar box. Even that 10-cent, those 10-cent boxes, which were bangers in Green Bay, I ended up getting those for like 6.5 cents a card. So
Hmm.
I got them for almost half even of the 10-cent price, which was insanely cheap for all those cards. I've sold a ton of those already, for good profits. So yeah, I think we really have to focus on the buying. Maybe that's something we bring up as a topic um, down the road too. Again, I don't know. I don't think we want to go too far in this video into that, but buying and figuring margins and things like that. The not as much fun part, but essential.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, to me, that's the fun part because I'm a money guy, I'm a numbers guy, but not everybody is like that either. So. Um, But if you're going to do this and you're going to try to make some money on it, you need to make sure that you're not overpaying for stuff. That's the quickest way to lose. Um, what did I just say would be a topic for the future? I kept talking and I don't remember what I said. Chat people, help me out here. Um, yeah. Anyway, I'll make note of that later, I guess. So so we kind of talked about comping. We talked about the listing strategies. My last topic for this week is way outside that, um, what we were just discussing, but it's looking at buying outside the box, right? Outside the
Yeah.
dollar box. Yeah, good one. Um, looking at diversifying a little bit. Okay, so let's say you're a seller and you want to sell baseball, right, Charlie?
Yep.
So you get to 1,000 listings of baseball cards, and you've covered some of the good players and things like that, and you're going, I don't want to add 10 more Mike Trout cards. I'm not selling the ones that I've got right now. Now you have to look at adding some other sports and things like that. Well, what
Mhm.
happens when you kind of max out your sports spaces? Do you look at doing non-sports stuff? Do you look at doing sports but like unusual sports like pigs who ice skate, things like that? Um, and that's kind of the point that I'm at. And you see it a lot in my sales day videos. I have almost just as many non-sport sales as I do, or Pokemon. I see somebody mentioning Pokemon in here. I think that those are all smart things to start adding into your store. You'd be surprised at how many people buy like LeBron James cards and Goonies cards. Like, just as an example, but you can get cross sales from sports collectors as well as other types of cards collectors. Um, the other thing with the non-sport cards is they haven't really seen as much explosion in price. Marvel being the exception. Marvel cards have definitely gone up quite a bit, during the run up. Of course, everything's come back down too, but there's tons and tons and tons of other older sets and wax and inserts and things like that that really haven't completely caught on yet. And I think there's some good opportunity to buy into some of that and find some deals, right, when you're buying. What do you
Yeah.
think about it, Charlie?
Absolutely. I mean, right now I'm in a state where I'm trying to diversify for the sports cycle throughout the year, right? Because there's highs and
That's a
lows
good
as
point. Yep.
seasons start and end.
Yep.
And I hear everybody talk about it like, oh, this sport's down right now because there's nothing going on. So I want to have things that will bridge that gap. So I don't want all my sports to be in the same season. I want to spread
Yep.
those out. But I also like to get into some non-sport categories. So we've talked about my boys collect Pokemon, so they
Mhm.
joined me in this whole thing we call the hobby with Pokemon cards. I recently got some Falcon and the Winter Soldier cards to list just because I was like, okay, that's something different. Let me see
Sure.
what I can do with that.
And you
It's
probably got them pretty cheap too, right?
well, not as cheap as I would have liked to.
Oh,
It was kind of an impulse buy at Barnes and Noble one day while I was waiting for a haircut. So,
fair enough.
but I didn't know anything about the set, and I wanted to find out what it was about. Now,
Hmm.
that's one blaster box I bought. It's kind of like research, right?
Right.
So then I know from that point on, is that something I want to expand in or not? My initial take is let's see. Are these yeah, these are the cards here. I've got it in a bag right now, so it may be
Nice.
kind of hard to see. But the blaster box wasn't necessarily loaded and it comes out to about $1 a card. Um what I found looking through these is there's not a really, as someone who watched the series, there's not a lot of super cool cards that I went, oh, I want that. So I feel like, I'll maybe be able to move half of these, which doesn't cover everything. So I'm probably staying away from that in the future.
Yeah.
Um, but there's other sets, like some of the other Marvel sets that I think will do really good. And then you're not dependent on a sports season at all.
Yep.
You have a continuous cycle in those types of entertainment modes because you have
Right.
comics, you have movies, you have cartoons, you have what are the books called now that they do as well? Graphic
Comic books.
novels. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's important that you diversify enough so that when everybody's waiting to see what's happening with this football season, you've got something else moving.
Right. Yeah. You're right. I'm glad you mentioned that because I completely spaced on that. But you're right. Yeah. Sports are definitely seasonal. They depend on health for players. They depend on statistics and performance, and there's lots of things that play into that add some possibility for growth, which is good. That's part of the reason that people get into sports cards, but it's also a risk, right? There's an added risk on current players, and right, Captain America is not going to get hurt tomorrow. Um,
Exactly.
he's not going to get kicked out of the league for carrying a gun around. There's things that you're protected from a little bit when you're looking at some of that stuff. There was I think I mentioned this last week. I'd been buying some 89 Batman movie sticker cards. I like the sticker cards particularly because they were one per pack, more rare, and they look cool. But one of the reasons I was buying them is because Michael Keaton is back as Batman for
Right.
the first time ever. He's in the Flash movie, so I was like, well, people might want to go back and look at some of his original Batman stuff. Um, so you can still add like current event things that make them relevant, if you will. Just like in sports, well, he just won the Super Bowl, so his stuff goes up. Okay, well, this guy's in a movie. His stuff, look what it did for Jordan cards when they released the Jordan series, right? Um, what is that called? What was that called again? I can't remember the name of it now. You know what I'm talking about. It was on ESPN. It was during the pandemic, so everybody
The
watched
Last
it because it
Dance.
was Last Dance. Thank
Yeah.
you. Um, by the way, the shoe movie is really good too with Ben Affleck and Matt Damon.
Yeah, I just finished that. That was
Did you?
awesome.
Yeah, I was highly impressed. I liked how they did Michael, just a little bit of sort of shadow of him in
Yeah.
different scenes. I thought that was kind of fun.
He's all over the
Um,
credits though.
yeah, well, shouldn't he be? I mean, and I like that they shifted the story to his mom because he said this is all my mom.
Yeah.
Like the game, like me playing basketball, that's me. But like the shoe deals and
The
the
business side, yeah.
me getting money from this, he's like, I would have just taken a car and that'd been fine. But my
Yeah.
mom put this all together and protected all of us, for the future.
Speaking of basketball and diversifying, I sold my first basketball card today as I've
Yeah,
been
that's
trying to
right.
build up some
Tell
inventory
us
on.
about that.
Yeah, it's it was a low end card. It was a box I got or a card I got out of a value box for um I want to say that particular buy was around 40 cents a card.
Okay.
Um and I think I sold it for $1.50, something like that today.
Okay.
I know we can't pull it up right now. I had it ready to go, but so any guesses on who my first basketball sale is? I will tell you that my strategy in buying basketball is more about legends and Hall of Famers, and so that kind of narrows it
Same.
down for you. Anyone
Yeah.
want to take a guess?
Anybody in the chat have a guess? Who was the first player of basketball that Charlie sold today? Think legends.
Yep. And on
Okay,
TV a
so
lot.
let's see if we can get some hints. So so he's a so it's a he, right?
It's a he. Yep.
Okay, so it's a he. Is he still relevant today? Is he
I would say
involved in
yes.
basketball today?
Still relevant
Yeah.
today.
Okay.
Oh, we got a couple Jordan guesses.
Couple Jordans.
Good
That would
guesses.
make sense.
Those were part of my buys, and I have more to list, but that is not who sold as the first
That is
basketball
not
card.
who sold. I mean, there's a lot of legends. Like I know Jordan is probably the first thing that pops into everybody's
Yeah.
mind. Plus, we just talked about Jordan, so
And Jordan
kind
and this player
of
overlapped in their careers.
with overlapped with Jordan.
Yep. Yeah,
Okay.
I believe so. It
Kobe?
going back ways. No, it wasn't Kobe. Oh, I think MD Sports has got it. MD
He made
Sports
two
cards.
guesses. That was smart. He made two guesses.
Yep, yep. And I will tell you, I have both of those players listed, but the one that sold first is a Shaq. There's a Shaq talk. I don't remember what year it was, maybe 95, something like that. And the theme
Yep.
was the dunk.
Nice. I saw a lot of
Yeah.
Shaq stuff, so that makes sense. You can get Shaq stuff pretty cheap too. It's really weird. I don't know why. I suppose he's a
Well,
big man. He's not best
and he's
ever conversation or whatever, but
yeah, yeah. And he's like you said, he's still relevant, so he still moves.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean he's funny. He does TV commercials. He does commentary, right? For
Yep.
games and stuff like that. Yeah, that stuff all makes sense. And there, you could argue that no, he's not the best basketball player of all time, but you could argue he's the best big player of all time
Right.
in the game. He won a bunch of championships, played for the Lakers, big main team. There's a lot going for him. People like him. He's got hobby, right? There's people who collect him.
He does.
Yeah, it's a great one. Barkley, kind of the opposite. um, I I always kind of liked Barkley, but he's a little rough, and I think a lot of uh,
Yeah, he can offend some people. But he's also entertaining. I was just looking up that Shaq card. I sold it for $1.50 today.
yeah,
Yep.
nice. Um, yeah, so yeah, Shaq is that's very interesting. MD makes a comment here about the fact that I skipped it. His entire run of cars is during the junk wax era, unfortunately.
Yep.
Now, so this is what I want to say about the junk wax era, because everybody brings this up all the time, especially low end cards. Well, yeah, because it's all junk wax. So what? If it makes it so that you can get a Shaq card for $1.50, I'm all about the junk wax era.
Yeah.
I'd rather do that than pay $7 for a base Jason Tatum who's never going to win anything card. That you got to pay now. I like the quality of the cards back then. I like Topps being the I think Topps makes better stuff. Um, so I like junk wax era cards. My player that I PC is Brett Favre. That's all junk wax era too. He literally came into the league in '91. That would be, I guess the junk wax era kind of kicked off in like '87, '88, but still, basically a good chunk of his career um, was in the junk wax era too.
Yeah.
Okay. So Bubba wants to know, did you have free shipping on that or did you charge?
So great question, because there's always a lot of debate on this. I know you do free shipping.
That's what.
I am still at a point where I am doing the pass through shipping, so 60 cent shipping as well on that.
Okay. So did you charge the buyer 60 cents?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So you
Yep.
really got $2.10 on that sale.
Yeah, but I mean that 60 cents went directly to the standard envelope postage.
Right. I think what Bubba's getting at is, well, did you make any money on this if you did free shipping? Because you wouldn't have made much. You would have made maybe 10 cents, 15
Right.
cents.
Right.
Which if that's what he's asking, yes, he's right.
Yep. Yeah,
So
I
that
I
leads.
do see a time when I may want to explore free shipping a little more. It
Mhm.
goes back to our discussion. Is there a difference between a $2 card and a $1.40 card plus 60 cents shipping? You're both spending $2 for the same card. But I like the idea of the convenience for the buyer to
Yep.
not have to worry about shipping. I think they feel better too as a
Yep.
buyer if you're not having to worry about shipping. But I'm not there yet. Like
Yeah.
I'm still charging that. One thing I don't do, because I don't like when I see this, is I don't inflate shipping charges. I try
Right.
to be as close as I can to what I
Right.
believe that's going to ship. I've got a scale. I weigh it out if it's a special card like a relic or something a little heavier. Um, But I don't want to abuse that shipping charge for the buyer, but right now I
Yep.
am using it.
Okay, so we've talked about this in the past, but here my take on shipping. I'll go over this again. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to deal with combined shipping asks and people wanting invoices and blah blah blah. I don't want to deal with it for dollar cards, $1.50 cards. Um, Everyone calculates the shipping into the price in their head. So you're right. There is no difference between a dollar card and a $1.40 card with 60 cents shipping. If I was shopping and I saw those two listings, I'd be like, oh, they're both $2,
Right.
right? So I don't know that mentally it makes any kind of a change to it. Um, yeah. So, and then one of the biggest things you're rated on in eBay, there's only a couple different categories to rate you on, is your shipping cost.
Yep.
Um, and I'll tell you what would get you a negative feedback really quick is if you did what you were talking about, Charlie. You sell the card for $1 and you charge them $4 shipping, and then you put it in a 60 cent shipping envelope and send it out. If there's anything wrong with that card, if it takes too long, or they're just plain old feel like they got ripped off because you sent it for 60 cents but charged them $4, you're screwed. I mean,
Yeah.
that's it's too competitive on eBay to give up any kind of an edge to be able to collect shipping when people figure it into the price as it is. That's how I look at it. I've never had a problem with shipping for free. You know, I mean, if somebody wants 10 cards, they don't pay any shipping. If they want one card, they don't pay any shit. Like it's not complicated, right? And that's what I like about it. Now, I do have an exception to that. So if it's something where I can't ship it in an envelope, um, like a graded card, for example, then I charge shipping and I charge it to the buyer.
Hmm.
So, you know, if I have a graded card, but those are bigger dollar cards too. If I have a graded card, sell them for $75, I charge them the $4 or 360 or whatever the heck it is, you know, to ship that. So MD Sports makes a comment here. He says, whoops, I skipped over it. You want to think of it as an all in one price though. Fees calculated off a total plus taxes. Correct. So let's rewind to that a little bit. So Charlie paid 40 cents, right, for the card.
Yep.
You paid 40 cents for the card. You got $2 from the buyer, $2.10 from the buyer, right?
Yep.
So your fees on that are going to be roughly 25 cents, 26 cents, plus the 30 cent finance charge, right? For the digital payment, because for whatever reason they feel like they need to charge you that.
Right.
So you've got that, plus you've got to pay for your postage, which they paid for it, but yes, you're right, you have to pay for it to send it
Yep.
off. So you've got, let's just say 25 cents for your back end fee just to make the calculations easy. So you've got that, you've got your 40 cents. So we're at 65. You got 60 cents to ship it. So you got $1.25. Wait, yeah, $1.25. Um, and what's the
Then
other
you've got your
charges?
sleeve, your top loader, and envelope.
Yeah, so say 10 cents there for those.
Hmm.
Um, so $1.35, right? And you got $2.10. So
Yeah.
you made basically 75 cents on it.
Right.
Does that sound about right?
Yeah.
And MD makes a comment too about taxes, and he's right. Technically, you know, you have to pay tax on that sale too. Um, but that you can't, that's a little bit hard to calculate down to the penny until you know the rest of the tax situation.
Right.
So let's even say you've got 20% tax on that. So you've got your profit was 75 cents. So 20% would be what, 14 cents, 15 cents, something like that. So you're at 60 cents. We'll say
Yeah.
60 cents profit, just to kind of give us like a roundy number
Yep.
to kind of work with.
And that's where we realize it becomes a volume game.
Right. Yeah, you ain't eating too well on 60 cent on a 60 cent sale. Right. Yeah. But there are lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of business models that go based off of volume. That's not a bad way to do business. It frees you from some things like spending extra time doing your listing and your pictures, trying to find a buyer for your high end card, blah blah blah. Gets you out of all that stuff, but you have more labor essentially, right? Because you're moving a lot more, you're doing a lot more transactions.
Yeah.
So anyway, so MD makes follows up his comment here and says that the buyer's paying the tax, but the fees are calculated off the buyer's total, not your price plus shipping.
Right.
He's right. So it
It's
does
what
impact the buyer paying the tax
I
because
think
the
it's
buyer pays the.
13.25%, right?
Well, it's going to be whatever costs in their state. So they're paying the state tax when they buy,
Yeah, I was
but
talking
they're
about the
only paying off
variable
your
eBay
right.
fees.
Right. So the buyer's tax would be based off of your sale price. So if you're selling it plus shipping, they're paying a little bit less tax.
Yeah.
But when you're charging 60 cents for shipping, you're talking maybe a penny or two difference to that buyer on their tax. And I don't know. First of all, it doesn't come out of my money. Again, I'm watching out for my customers' money. But I think the ease of the transaction and the fact that you don't have to calculate shipping or worry about combined shipping, things like that, worry about getting ripped off in shipping. I can tell you that almost every seller I see that charges shipping, they don't charge 60 cents.
Mhm.
They're charging a dollar three or you know $3 or something like that to ship one single $2 card.
Yeah.
I don't think that's working for them. you know, I think that's bad for the customer. I think it's bad for them. I guess they could price the card really low and that saves the customer on some tax, but I don't know. I don't. You got to do what works for you, and that's not
Yeah.
the way I want to do that business. I love the free shipping. I've never once considered not doing it. Um, just because it takes so much off of my plate, I never have to think about it. Bubba says he has, since he charges shipping, he has an Excel sheet formulated so he can plug in the offer with the formula, assuming the buyer pays 10% tax. We'll see my profit if need to.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Yeah. I
started out
mean,
the
yeah.
same way.
Yeah. If you really want to break it down and get into it that way, I have absolutely zero interest in spending that kind of time or effort on it. I'm not creating a bunch of spreadsheets or doing any of that. If you're not doing a volume game, I think that stuff makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah,
Um,
the first couple of months I did that because I wanted to make sure I understood what the margin really was,
right.
and get a feel for how I was pricing things aside from just comps. Like, if the comp is at a dollar value that I can't make anything on it, well, then I shouldn't be trying to sell those cards in the first place,
Right.
right? And the only way I was going to learn that was by really looking at those details early on. But I will tell you, after that first month or two, that kind of went by the wayside. And I was like, okay, I kind of know what the costs are to ship it out
Yep.
typically for a single card. I
Yep.
know what it costs for my supplies.
Yep.
That's all relatively static. I know prices go up every year, but in small enough increments that you can keep track of that in your head, basically.
Right.
But once I set that foundation, I was like, I'm spending too much time on the
Right.
back office stuff and not enough
Yep.
time listing and shipping.
Yep. Listing and shipping, shipping and listing. Those are the two top priorities over everything else. Yeah. And you're right. You know what doesn't stay static? What you pay for the cards. So it goes right back to what MD said was the focus earlier, which I applauded and I feel the exact same way. Focus on what you're spending on that card. Understand your model. If you're going to do free shipping, if you're going to do this, if you're going to do that, you need to have your margins set to, you know, well, if you're going to make profit on your shipping, which I think is a terrible idea, but if that's what you're going to do, gives you some leeway. You could spend more on cards then. because you're going to try to make on the backside of, some profit on the backside of it. I don't do that. So I just make sure that when I buy, I have my margin in there, based on what I can sell it for. So, and then you're right, 60-cent envelope. My fees are actually less. I'm a top rated seller plus, so I get a discount on all my back end fees from eBay. Um, so I take another 10% off of what I pay them for the sales fee. So the what somebody's going to pay might be different too. What their cost is per transaction. Let's see. Bubba's laughing at us. He says basic Excel for me was a 2-minute time investment for an easy reference sheet, but I get your point.
And
Yeah, and
maybe
we
maybe I
certainly were not. We were certainly not putting down your
yeah,
efforts. I think it's great. I wish I did more of that. I wish I was
yeah.
more focused on some things like that. I just it I can with 100% tell you I will never do that. I won't do it. It's
And
not gonna
maybe I
happen.
don't fully understand what Bubba does with his. What I was talking to, what I did the first couple months is I inventoried every individual card, and I had the formulas out there to say, okay, here's what I paid for it. Here's what I want to, ask for it to get my margins. And that's what got really time consuming, just trying to inventory all those cards in those spreadsheets. Now, a tool to say, hey, I bought this lot at 20 cents a card. If I want to make X amount, what should I throw it in there as? Then a template I think would be great. But for me, I was doing every single card, and it didn't
Right,
take me too long to say, yeah, I can't keep up with just listing every card I bring home, especially when I'm bringing home 700 cards from a card
right.
show.
Yeah, I mean, the main reason I do any of that stuff is for taxes, because I of course pay taxes every year on this stuff. So I have, kind of a general spreadsheet where I keep track of, okay, I paid this much per card, whatever. Because lots are even difficult. So let's say you get a 10 card lot. Well, not all 10 cards are going to sell for the same price either. So do you say, well, I paid 20 cents for each card, but really you paid up for that lot because you got this one card you knew you could sell for 10 bucks? So you almost you have to take the amount you paid and kind of assign it to each card. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And that's why I know if I have my margins figured out for every card, regardless of price, then I know what my cost basis was essentially, right, on each card. As long as I sell it at that for that margin, the difference in between would be what my profit is. So try to simplify it a little bit. The volume game is tough because it's harder to keep track of, right? So yeah, it's accounting is a tad bit of a nightmare. Luckily, eBay does a lot of the accounting for you. If you have um, some finance programs, some QuickBooks, things like that, you can import a lot of stuff from eBay, or I guess technically you're exporting from eBay. Anyway, um, importing to one side, exporting to the other
Are
side.
you an importer
Um,
exporter?
yeah, right. Importer, yeah.
Art
So
Vandalay?
yeah, uh, so that they can help you do some of that work. But yeah, it's that part's not that much fun. MD Sports says you don't actually account for every card, do you? Um, I'm not exactly sure what you mean by that. Like,
Well, that's
I have,
kind of where I started out. When I first entered selling, I wanted to make sure that I was really making a margin on these because it is such low end items. Um, and you're talking about cards I bought 11 years ago for basically pennies at that time, right?
right,
So I wanted to make sure that I understood with the comps is that and by the time I factor in my supplies and the shipping, was I making any kind of profit on that? So early on, yeah, I really was. And then I had some like I had some lots of players. Like I thought maybe I want to try and sell up. So if I sell
right,
these 40 Mike Trout cards, maybe I can get this nicer one. So I wanted to account for them individually a little bit more. But like I said, after the first month or two, I that was too much for me. I was like, I just need to trust, where I'm buying at and where I'm selling at.
Right. Yeah, and that's again, that's where I think for me the key has been if I need to look at my margin because if I go, well, this is how much I sold, these are my margins that I know I try to keep my parameter on. It sort of defines what I paid for it at that point then too. It works both ways. It works on the sales side and then it
Yeah.
works on the buy side. Bubba makes a good point here. He said he uses that. I'm assuming he's referring to the spreadsheet he was talking about earlier, where he can plug in the numbers, and then when he gets offers, it allows him to say it kind of defines to him, okay, I'm making enough on this, I can accept that offer. So he's right. That's a great tool. I can see that being extremely helpful. Again, I kind of do it in my head. I know I price my stuff generally at top comps, and then I just kind of make sort of a natural what I'd be willing to go down to based on what I paid for the card. But yeah, whatever helps you make sure that you don't lose your margin is definitely a um, a good idea. So MD Sports says for tax purposes, it uses the $10 as cost of goods and put that against sales at year end, not each individual. That's exactly how I do it too, MD. Um, and that's exactly what I was talking about earlier, where you buy a lot. Well, maybe you bought that lot, you paid up for that lot because there's a $10 card in it versus, well, these are all 50-cent cards, right? So, yeah, you're better off just going, okay, well, I paid $1 per card. That's my cost of goods. When I sell one of those cards for $5, then my profit is that $4 minus expenses. Yeah.
That is something that I am going to have to dig more into this year is
Yeah.
tax season. Right now my sales are not high enough where I feel like itemizing is going to, make much of a difference yet. But if I continue to grow, there's going to be a point where I have to say, okay, I need to offset some of what eBay says I made
Right.
in revenue with how much I'm putting into the business.
So I don't want to go too far into taxes. I'm not a tax professional. We certainly don't want to provide any advice. Um, I don't really want to share any of my own tax info. This isn't the forum for that. But just generally speaking, if you sell enough on eBay, they will 1099 you. And then it's your responsibility to report that 1099, which of course they did on your behalf. How kind of them, right? Um, it's your responsibility then to take that 1099 and work your expenses and your cost of goods and everything against that. So for those that are new, again, I've been doing this for a long time. I've been reporting 1099s for internet sales for 30 years. So I barely think about it. It's just something I do every year. I keep track of it. Like I said, eBay works out really well. They break it down for you monthly. They'll tell you what your monthly expenses were to eBay. Like it's all in there. Um, it should be pretty easy for you to do taxes at the end of the year. But yeah, it is something you definitely for the new sellers that are joining us, or maybe those before who haven't gotten to the level where they've had to where it's been reported, 1099 reported for them. That is something that you definitely want to have some understanding of because you want to make sure that you do that right at the end of the year. You'd hate to get penalties or letters from the IRS or something that's
Right.
not so much fun. Spend your time on cards. That's way more fun, and just do those numbers at the end of the year so you're good. Let's see. So MD Sports Cards. Are you an accountant by chance? I'm just curious. It's not a spreadsheet per card though. It's per buy for you. Some older accountants still don't understand the cash method. He's right. It's the cash method. That's how I've been um, doing my taxes for years and years and years. Again, I'm not going to give any advice. You need to talk to a tax person if you want to find out what is the best way for you. Um, but yeah, that's how it works for me when you're doing something where you're buying bulk and you're buying quantity and then you're selling quantity and so on and so forth. So anyway, enough of the tax talk. That's maybe we'll save that for another episode. I don't know. I don't really like talking about that stuff too much, but because it's not fun, right? That part's not
No, it's
the fun
not.
part. But this was one thing I'll tell you. Okay, so I was a financial planner for. I worked with Charlie. We did financial transactions between us in the past as customer and employee. Um, and I don't even remember where I was going with this, but basically, I've heard from people before. Oh, now I remember. I've heard from people before. Well, I don't want to make any more money because then I got to pay more taxes, and that is idiotic. Because if you make a dollar and you owe 25 cents in taxes, you still got 75 cents more than you
Yeah.
had before. So unless you're taxed at 110%, um, which you shouldn't be if you're anywhere in the United States. I guess I can't speak for other countries. If any of you are from another country, speak up if you're being overtaxed that way. But as long as they're not taxing you for the full sum of money that you're making, it's something that or if you're right on the cusp of that bracket, right, that tax bracket, and you're making this much, and now it pushes all your income up, and it's costing more. Okay, well that's something else, but you that's something you would need to follow pretty closely to see where you're at. But yeah, generally speaking, as long as you're staying in the same bracket, it's still beneficial for you to earn more money. You're paying more tax, but you're keeping another chunk of money. So MD Sports worked in finance for 6.5 years, 4 years at Madison for personal finance, plenty of accounting classes, not an accountant. Okay, sounds a little bit like my experience. I worked in banking for a lot of years. I managed a bank. I worked in trust for a while for a bank. Um, yeah, that's part of it. A part of accounting is an important part of running any business. So you don't want to get too far into it and not have some kind of idea of what you want to do on the accounting side, or at least who you want to hire to look at your accounting and help you with that stuff. So, but I can help you a little bit at the end of the year too, Charlie, if you so wish. We can sit down and plunk through eBay, and I'll kind of show you where to find stuff, and you
Yeah,
know,
that's the thing that I need to start with, is just understanding what are the tools eBay provides you for that. I mean, obviously you can see all your purchases, you can see all your sales, but I know there's a little bit more to it than that yet. So
yeah, the purchase side's actually kind of the pain in the butt, and that's where I end up spending most of my time when I'm doing taxes because they don't really care if they tell you what your purchases are because that's your write downs,
right,
but they're required, to report to what you made money on, of course. So those numbers are pretty easy to get, and what you paid them in fees is pretty easy to get. And then purchases, you kind of have to either have track of that all year long, or you kind of have to go back through and dig it through it a little bit to make sure you don't miss something. MD says, preach. The amount of times I have heard the argument is insane. You can still move tax brackets. It's a graduated bracket, though. He's right. It's not like you move from 10% tax to 20% tax. There's a ladder there. If you bump into a new bracket, only the overflow gets hit higher. Okay, well, yeah, yes and no, because it depends on if it's based on just your income total, then it would anything that adds to you moving up to the next bracket would be taxed at a different level. But again, we're not giving any tax advice. I don't have the tax code memorized, which changes every 3 months anyway. Get a good tax professional and find out how you need to handle your tax situations, and that's all I want to suggest on that one. But yeah, there's many different ways to do it, and it is important because it can cost you a lot if you don't plan it or know what you're doing. I there's so many people that well, I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to get in trouble. Well, it's not. That's not what it's about. It's just about doing it right and making sure you
right.
pay the portion of taxes that you owe, but not paying more than you owe. You don't want to. You want to do it right, right? Like if your mortgage payment's $1,000, you don't just hand them 1,100 and say, well, if it's over, you keep it, right? You don't want to pay them 800 because you're going to lose your house eventually. You have to. It's like anything you do with money. You want to make sure that you have those numbers correct and that everybody is paying or receiving what they're supposed to be getting. So
Yeah, that tax conversation just sucks the fun out of the whole hobby.
I wasn't trying to. I don't even know
I
how
think
we
I
got
brought it
there.
up. I'm sorry.
Well, I was trying to take. I could see where they were getting at. They wanted to know. Okay, well, if you didn't charge shipping, did you make any money on this?
Yeah,
Which is a fair question. So I kind of just wanted to take some numbers a little bit and show, if you made anything.
yeah,
At
for
least just a
sure.
very generic round number of where what your margin was. So I think when you do something low end, you need to at least 5x. Okay. So if you buy a card for 10 cents, you better make at least 50 cents on it.
Okay, I think
Okay.
that's fair.
Now, that can go down if you're selling at a volume. Okay. So if I paid 10 cents a card, somebody wants to buy 15 cards from me, I don't have to make 50 cents a card, right? Because you can move it at volume. So you can buy in volume, but you can also sell in volume. You can do both sides of that. So, but yeah, I think that's the general rule of thumb. Hopefully, a lot of times you'll hit way, way, way higher than that.
Yeah.
Um, by the way, I sold another Beastie Boys card today.
Oh, really?
Yeah, speaking of 10x's, so I bought a box of the for those who hadn't heard this conversation, I bought a box of the Yo MTV Raps, the update edition, which has two different Beastie Boys rookie cards in it. And when I was comping them out, I showed it to Charlie, and he was like, "I had no idea those cards sold for that." But they go for like $30 to $50 somewhere in there. Well, 50 is maybe a little high. Let's say 40, 25 to 40. We'll say that. That's more of a fair statement. But um, yeah, so I was kind of doing the math in my head. Well, each pack has 4 cards from the update set. You have 36 packs. There's only 50 cards in the update series. I'm like, dude, I'm gonna get like 5 to 7 Beastie Boys cards out of this box, and I got 6, right? So
Yeah.
I was pretty much right on. I'm like, man, I paid $20 for the box, so I'm like, geez, that's let's say $25 a card just for some easy math. You got 6 of them. That's $300 out of that $20 box. Now, mind you, you get 360 cards in that box, so I have 354 cards that I can also make some money on that were definitely free at this point. If I look at selling the first Beastie Boy card I sold, paid for the box plus a little bit. Now every other Beastie Boys card I sell is pure profit, and then all
Right.
those other cards were free. Um, I need to find some more of those. I went back to buy another one, and they were all gone. So, so he says, Bubba asked if I sold it for 50. I don't think it was 50. 30? I sell for 30? 30, I believe. Um, yeah, again, I'm not the highest priced one on eBay, but in this situation, I didn't really pay much for those cards. I'm willing to take a little bit less to get some sales on it. So, but I still have 4 left. Here, I'll grab them quick so you can see them.
And
I
that's
know
that's
here.
the thing that sticks with me in a lot of our conversations is you don't have to be the highest price and you don't have to be the lowest priced. Um, you just have to be the right priced for you. And there's so many different cards out there that, and so many different things that people are looking for, that if you're patient enough, eventually somebody will feel that's the right deal for them, without really twisting a rag over should I go $1.25 or $2.25. Just find that right spot for you and where it makes sense for you, and I think that sale will eventually come to you as long as you're not way out of the stratosphere with it.
Something else I do too, and I have something in quantity. I don't necessarily want 10 copies of something sitting around. So a lot of times I'll drop the price when I add quantity to it. And then sometimes as they sell, I'll increase the price, right?
Okay.
So if I only have one left, well, I want more money for that now because once this one's gone, I don't have any in stock anymore. So I
Sure.
sold 2 of this version. I got 3 of each version of Beastie Boys. Sold 2 of this one. So I actually increased the price on this before I sold the second one. I'll probably increase it again for this last one. and then I have 3 of this version, which is them in New York.
Those
I mean,
are so cool.
they're totally 90s. They're from the show MTV Raps, which is hosted by Ed Lover and Dr. Dre. Not that Dr. Dre, the other Dr. Dre. And yeah, there's some cool Flavor Flav cards and Boogie Down Productions and Biz Markie and Public Enemy, and I mean, there's just tons of great artists from that unique time frame in rap. So, and I bought some of the other music cards. I brought some Brockham's rock cards. I've done okay on those. I've sold some of those. Those are cool because they have the sticker cards are like Iron Maiden cards. So like different versions of Eddie. I don't know if you listen to Iron Maiden, but Eddie's like their skeleton mascot guy, and he does all kinds of different. He's always on their album cover and things like that.
So are they all Iron Maiden Eddie cards, or are they different rock bands?
Just the sticker ones they're like mostly Eddie cards. There's a couple of different let's see, Iron Man. Trying to think of the other band that they were based on. I think there's one for Winger.
Oh my
But you
gosh,
got you got like
a
one
winger
sticker
set?
card per pack. Huh?
A
I
winger
know,
set?
right? Yeah, I'll grab some. Here, hold on.
I can't say that I've seen a rock and roll card set. That would be something I'd be interested in when I saw it. But then also, like, do
So
they?
like here's Skid Row cards,
Yeah,
right?
that's cool.
So I actually the cards themselves I lot because they don't sell that well individually.
Okay.
Some more Skid Row. So I'll make like lots of Skid Row, lots of here's Winger,
Who are those
here's Black
licensed by?
here's a really sweet Black Sabbath card. So if they're
Like
really cool, like I've got a
who
really
makes
cool
those?
one. Huh?
Who makes those?
This was a company called Brockham.
Hmm.
Brockham Rock Cards from 1991.
Okay.
Um, and then there's also these, which are like music cards from uh, kind of that same time frame. But like here's who's this? The Gypsy Kings.
Okay.
Here's In Excess. Sorry about my ring light. It's not real conducive to showing. Here's the Go Go's. Carlos Santana.
That's smooth.
Yeah, right. One of my favorites. They have a Legend series in here. This is the Doors. Pretty sweet. But then Brockham has a sticker card in each pack. So like here's one of the Eddie cards.
Okay.
This actually might be this is actually from Pushhead. Um, so there's from that band. Then here is from this is from Megadeth. So this is Hangar 18
Yep.
from Megadeth. So I just thought the sticker cards were super cool. And of course bought a giant lot of them, so I paid, 10 cents a sticker or whatever. Um, and then the cards themselves, I just lot them off, and just get the money back. But here's
Yeah.
Winger, that sweet ass Winger
Oh,
sticker,
sure.
right? Here's one of the Eddies, Eddie and the Kid. That's him
Okay.
where he's dragging the kid away. Just super cool, unique. I mean, who doesn't want a Eddie sticker, right? I mean, I would have killed for that when I was a kid. Here's some of the other MTV raps, just a little sampling. Here's Belle Biv DeVoe. Here's Run DMC. The Run DMC stuff sells okay,
Yeah.
especially the Adidas ones. Three Times Dope.
I don't
Run
remember them.
MC. Here's the stupid producer from the show. Does he not? He doesn't look like a rap show producer, does he?
It's like an influencer card today.
Check this out. LL Cool J.
Nice.
Hammer.
Yeah.
So here's the guys that were the hosts. This is Dr. Dre and Ed Lover. Ed Lover was awesome. Here's Boogie Down. Yeah. Tone Loc. Let's do it.
Yep.
Right. But I got all these great Eddie stickers. I mean, I basically got two whole boxes of them for like way cheap. So yeah, so kind of that non-sport topic we had we were talking about before. That's kind
Yeah.
of why this came up because been doing more of this stuff and non-sport stuff's been selling really well. And yes, I also bought some Justin Bieber cards. So I
Oh, the
mean
Beebs.
the Biebs. Yeah, it was an interesting time. They made a card for just about everything, and I think a lot of those cards kind of got forgotten about. And
Sure.
I think it's a good time to do it. I got that whole box, sealed box, for $20 with Beastie Boys rookie cards in it that are $50. Like if that was a football card product from 1991 with a $50 rookie in it, it'd be like $900 for that box,
Right.
and you wouldn't pull one. I got six, right? So it's I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot to be left on the table if you don't look into some of that kind of stuff. So yeah, Bubba's hitting the nostalgia train with us here. He said, "Yeah, MTV Raps and Headbangers Ball. Headbangers Ball was awesome. Matt Pinfield was one of my favorites.
Yep.
He was the best video or VJ or whatever they called those morons back on that channel. But Headbangers Ball was awesome. Used to watch Tool videos on there because they were too scary to play during the day. Little claymation characters and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, Bubba's got some rock cards. He hasn't made them into the queue yet. Even the lesser known acts will have mothers to buy those cards.
Yeah.
Yeah, he likes your comment, Charlie, earlier. Um, yeah, it's just cool. You can find a million Tom Brady cards, but you're not going to find a ton of Skid Row cards.
Yeah.
I sold a bunch of Poison cards. I got a really cool one of Alice Cooper where he's like walking out of like he had the big scare guy behind him or whatever, and
Okay.
it was kind of like his entrance. He would sort of walk through him and then come out, and there's it's this great scene of him with his cane in the air, and he's kind of walking out with the microphone, and like, dude, that stuff is cool.
Yeah.
I sold a Randy Rhoads card from that Pro Set music set. He died tragically in a plane crash. One of the best guitarists of all time, in my opinion, of course. Um, how many Randy Rhoads cards exist, right? If you're into Black Sabbath and Ozzy and Randy Rhoads and all that kind of stuff, that's it. That's the card you buy. That's your only offering. Um, or the cousins might buy it.
Was it
you know, I mean,
was it Randy Rhodes was originally wasn't he originally in Rat and then Ozzy recruited him, or was that one of
that
other
I
guitarists
I
for Ozzy?
honestly don't I honestly don't know. I don't follow that story too well, but um I just know the songs that Randy Rhoads played on, and he was amazing.
He
So,
was. He was.
and it's that old adage of gone too soon. Some of that adds some to that. He
It might have been Quiet Riot now that I think about it. I'm
quiet. Well,
pretty
that
sure
would
Randy
probably make
Rhodes
more
was in
sense.
another mainstream band and got poached by Ozzy.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see that. But how fun are those cards, right? And they cost you like nothing. I
Right.
that Brockham lot, I think I got like 180 cards, and then it must have been 72. Well, 48 of the stickers. I think it was 24 packs in a box. And I got 48 of the stickers, and I paid like $20 for that whole lot, like all those Eddie stickers and stuff. And I haven't sold a ton of them or anything, but I've made my money back, and I still have tons of stuff,
Right.
left to go. And honestly, sometimes kind of going back to making sure you make a profit and that kind of thing. Sometimes I think about that too. Like if I sell two cards and I'm at break even, I don't have to hit a home run on all the rest of them when I sell them because I really don't have any money left in them. Everything is profit, so just sell the damn thing.
Right.
Take your profit. You don't go broke taking profit. So take that profit, put it into something else, take a chance on something. Um, I don't know. I think that's a better way to kind of a better way to approach it where you're not You don't have to squeeze a dime out of everything either. And if you try to do that, you're not going to have that many sales. So now, okay, yeah, you're making profit on every single one, but if you don't have any sales, you know, you really aren't making any money.
Right.
It's kind of a catch-22, I guess, that way. But so, by the way, those were sort of our topics for tonight. We're starting to hit our 2-hour mark here, so we got to start looking at shutting it down. But as we do every week, about this time, we get to show off any goodies we got in the mail. So, you got anything to show off?
So, so it's technically not something I got in the mail.
Okay,
But as I've been growing in this game, and we've been doing this video or this live stream, and I've been selling my cards, I'm kind of becoming the card guy in my extended family, right?
sure.
So so I was up north this weekend, as we talked about at the beginning of the show, and I was actually listing some cards as I was enjoying myself there. And a cousin came over with this big white box, which can be good or bad, right? You just never know. But
Right?
it's like this auto parts box just filled with cards.
Yeah,
And he's like, "Hey, I don't know what to do with these. Take a look and see what you got. Just let me know if we can do anything with them." But so there ended up being some fairly cool stuff in here. A lot of the baseball stuff is it kind of felt like it was picked over, but we talked
okay.
about these. I think these are, I'm gonna have to put my glasses on now for this part of the show. Um, but I think these were 95 Fleer Metal Marvel series.
Oh yeah,
Punisher 2099.
I've
There's a
bought and
good,
sold those before. They do really well. Those are sweet
yeah,
cards.
good
Anything
stack
metal.
of those.
Anything metal. Is there any
93.
precious metals in there? The parallels?
Not that I noticed. Not
Ooh,
that I
those are
noticed.
big money.
And these were all loose in there. I started sorting them and putting them in bags this weekend.
Okay,
They're in surprisingly good condition for just being thrown into a box.
sure.
These are 93 metal masterpieces.
Oh, those are nice.
So again, there's the Punisher on there.
Punisher right on top. He's my favorite Marvel character.
Yep, yep.
Although I read an article today that Marvel is eliminating him because they don't because Disney Plus won't allow his movie on there or something. I don't know.
Really,
Yeah,
really.
so you're gonna write him out of Marvel. I'm like, well, that's
Uh,
stupid. Anyway,
um, Another Marvel set, 94 Flare. So there's a Magneto Returns on the top there.
nice.
Yeah, just kind of fun stuff. We talk about diversifying. There's a couple of Ovation Upper Deck baseball sets, and I forgot about these. I think this is 99, but it's got the
Yeah,
fake
from Upper Deck.
rawhide on
Yep,
it.
the
So those are
textures.
neat.
Yeah,
Little bit of a foil in the background there. So that was cool. Um, Triple Action Baseball is in here. I haven't heard that name in a long time.
yep.
Quite a bit of tops. I was just kind of looking through to see. There was something that caught my attention. It was like four sports or something. It was a mix of all different sports. There was a hockey card in it. There was a baseball card in it, and a football card. There's some 94 Fleer football in there, of course, too.
Nice.
Um, so a lot of that stuff from the junk wax era too.
Sure.
But I mean, there was a Cubs temporary tattoo in there.
I'll be taking that off your
Yeah, I
hands.
thought
You
you
can
might
trade me
like
that for the
that.
Brewer card, the
Um,
Bernie Brewer.
One of the things I like about getting stuff like that from people, though, is there's also a chance to see cards you've never worked with or it's
Yeah.
had in your hand before. So these are 1998 gold label.
Okay.
Um, yeah,
Yep.
nice kind of
Yep.
refractor coating on there. That's a Fred McGriff card. I
Yep.
had never seen these before, and I'm like, those are sharp cards. And I
Yeah.
actually found myself appreciating the art form of card
Yeah.
making through the years, especially like
Topps
there's a
made
soft
really
spot in
good
my heart for
stuff.
these things.
Yeah. Yeah. I honestly believe the best cards, art style wise and creativity wise, I guess, were in that middle to late 90s. The metal
Yeah,
sets and the gold label and the flare stuff and
Ionics. I never really experienced
Ionics, that
that
was an
one
upper deck
before. Yep,
product. Yep.
another
Yep.
nice set.
Yeah.
So
That's
yeah, so
awesome.
that was not really a mail call for me, but
Yeah.
um I was
Oh,
excited to go through those cards, see what's there. There'll be some
heck
things
yeah.
that I'll get listed in my store and split
You'll
a
do
little
well
bit of
with the
that with
metal
my
stuff
cousin.
for sure. And the
Yeah,
flare.
yeah, for sure.
Masterpieces stuff. All right. So anything else?
I think that's it for now. I'll
Okay.
yield some time to you. I see Bubba asked a question about the Punisher movie. I am 99% positive they did do another one.
And you are
Um,
correct. They
yeah.
made a new Punisher movie in 2014, I want to say. The Punisher was played by Thomas Jane.
Yes.
If you don't know who he is, look him up. He's freaking awesome. Met him at a con a few years ago. He was a totally cool guy. But that's a really good film, and that's well before the Disney period. So, so
A little
it,
dark.
it's done well. Although I'll say the Deadpool movies were done well if you want to consider that part of Disney. But
That's true.
anyway, yeah, it's a great film. Check it out. The bad guy is played by John Travolta in that movie, and he does an amazing job. So,
Forgot that. Yeah.
yep, watch that movie. It's good. Um,
So what do you
all
got
right.
there, Adam?
I did not have as much as I thought I would have. I've got some really cool stuff coming, but kind of with the holiday and stuff, it sort of threw off some of the shipping a little bit. Um, so I'll have some better stuff next week, but I do have a few fun things to show here. Actually, hold on, I gotta grab one thing. All right, so kind of my standard buys to some degree, but I have one really cool thing, and I have a pack from 1994 that was not open before, and I'm gonna open it and show you what's in it. So
Ooh.
yeah, so that's kind of exciting. I got this huge lot of Barry Sanders cards. Kind of a common buy for me. There's some cooler pieces in here. There's a couple of promotional cards. I like that kind of stuff. Some parallels, some inserts. Let's see if I can find the promo cards. Um, there's a wild card rookie card in there. So I mean, you can't go wrong with Barry Sanders rookie card, even if it is wild card. Some inserts. Some holograms. There's a Game Breakers hologram, pretty cool from Upper Deck. So just mainly a lot of just stuff I could get for inventory over anything else.
Sure.
Topps Gilt Edge, very underrated set with the little like Indian in the background there over here. These were cool because they actually have metal edges. So there's a silver version and a gold version. This is the gold version, so it's got gold all around the edges. Pretty
Oh,
cool.
okay.
Stat Smashers, one of my favorite insert sets of all time from Wildcard. Nice and shiny. Some nice inserts. Here's some Flair. You were just talking about Flair earlier.
Hmm.
Um, Check out this 1997 Metal Universe card.
That is cool.
Is that not amazing? God, that stuff's amazing. It's cool ticket stub cut card. Here's one of the promo cards. This is an action pack card. You can tell because it's not all his name is not all filled in gold. So on the back it says prototype. I don't know if you can read that. It says 93 prototype here. So it's pretty cool. I haven't seen that one before. This cool gold parallel from Score. Another one of my favorite insert sets from Flair, the Hot Numbers. It's got all these
Okay.
really cool like 90s colors, numbers in the background. Pretty cool card. Bunch of Fleer Ultra like achievement award winner cards, inserts. A few of those. yeah, just a really nice lot. Got a heck of a price on it. I already got these listed, so that was nice. I did well on those. I got everything going right away. But I sell a ton of Barry, even like base 1991 upper deck cards sell at
Right.
Barry. He's got such a huge collector base. Um, Look at this. I got this lot of Aaron Rodgers cards for 99 cents.
Wow.
99 cents. And there's another pack of them. There's 2 packs of cards. Um, Nothing particularly amazing in them. It's some base stuff. A couple of earlier years cards, which is cool. 2017. So I'm going to point this out just since I happen to grab this. But 2017 is one of my years of base cards that I try to buy all the time. And I'll tell you why. There weren't as many printed, right? It was before the big hype, the bubble, the boom, whatever you want to call it. So there wasn't as much printed. And if you own any sealed 2017 product now, are you going to open any of it?
Probably not.
And you want to know why?
Why?
Patrick Mahomes rookie card is in that. So all the sealed product has skyrocketed. So whatever of these cards are out in the wild from this set, that's it. Aren't going to be anymore. So that's something you need to consider. I look at that a lot with for like Favre cards, his 2009 cards, because that was when he left the Jets and he went to Minnesota.
Okay.
And so a lot of people just thought, he retired again. He's not going to come
Yeah.
back. And he came back really late. Remember you saw him flying on the plane going to Minnesota and all this stuff. Drama, drama, drama. And so there weren't a lot of sets that included his cards. Minnesota Vikings have a huge following. They don't have a lot of quarterbacks to collect from that team. So anytime I find 2009, even if it's base Favre cards, I mean, I have 30,000 Favre cards. I probably have less than 100 2009 cards.
Really?
Yep. I get little chunks of them here and there, and they sell. They'll sell in quantity. So you can find some little niches within the market too that can get you some money there as well. I don't know why I put that one up there. Some elite stuff. I mean, they're all nice brands in that. Some Prism. Um, this set was really cool. I actually sell a lot of these. This is called Topps Prime.
Okay.
I only made it for a year or two. This is from 2012. That throwback uniform there is pretty sweet. Here's a nice one, certified, nice and shiny. Topps base flagship. Can't go wrong with Topps. This is a real winner. This is unparalleled. Super shiny. I don't think this is one of the parallels, but they didn't print a lot of this. It's got its own following. Here's some illusions. So 99 cents for all these. It was a no-brainer. Phoenix, one of my favorite sets, very underrated. Here's a Topps Platinum in 2010. So yeah, I got like
Goodbye.
40 Rogers cards for 99 cents. Hell, I got 4 top loaders. That's worth 99 cents right there.
That is true.
I think about that a lot, and I think Rogers stuff does sell well now because he went to New York. But I think once the season gets closer and he wins a game or two, I think there's just gonna be a ton of people looking for his stuff.
I think so.
So this is a card that I bought for I think $1. This was a special little Favre set they did in 1993 playoff. It's a series of 5 different cards. Like one is of him in college, one of his is of him in his rookie year, kind of just following up to that like third, fourth year he was in the league. They were pretty tough to pull, and I sell those pretty regularly for decent money. So $1 there was an easy buy. This here is one that I was hoping would come in the mail that I wanted to show. So at least I got one of the items. That was gonna be my big mail day, but this is sealed. But wait till you see these cards. They are absolutely baller. So this was also by Playoff. This was from 1994. And this was an artist named Julie Bell. And it's her fantasy football card set. I think there's 6 or 8 cards. I'm opening this right now. I think there's like 6 or 8 cards in here. This is a complete set. 6 cards. 6 cards. Um, all of different players, but the sets are all the same. That's Emmett Smith. Check that out. Is that not fire?
Yeah, that's amazing.
And then on the back, it's got the little rule write up of Julie. It says Julie whatever up here in the
Huh.
blue. Fantasy football. Yeah, I had never even seen these before, and I immediately went to eBay and like I'm buying these, and I got a really good deal on these. I paid $5 for the whole set. This is Junior Seau
Yeah.
with the lightning there because he played for the Chargers. This one, this one's kind of funny. This is Rick Meyer. Look at that. Isn't that terrible? At first, I thought it was Aikman. I'm like, oh, Aikman sells. That's cool. No, it's not. It's Rick. Why would you make a card of Rick Meyer? I suppose he was big at the time, but
Was it
this is a
Seahawks, Rick
sweet.
Meyer?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
This is a sweet Marcus Allen.
Mhm.
Is that not amazing? Got these really nice kind of foily fronts to them. Look at this thing. This is Barry Sanders with the blue cat, kind of coming out of the stadium there. Hopefully
Yeah.
you can see this okay. This isn't the best way to present these, but it's got, Barry over here on the back. And then last but not least, and this one's staying in my PC. Yes, I do buy cards for my PC. This is Sterling Sharp. He was a wide receiver for the Packers. I think he could have been one of the best receivers of all time, but he screwed up
Yeah.
his neck and had to quit. But he was unbelievable, and pretty simple. But I like her depiction of it's basically just to show his strength, right?
Right.
Very strong player, impossible to tackle. Always got to the ball before the defender. Explode his explosiveness, right in the background. I think those are amazing. Paid $5 for that set. I'm gonna keep the sharp and I'll sell the other ones. So I mean, there's no way I'm gonna sell that berry for less than $8 probably.
Yeah.
I'll probably list it at 7.99. I'm at probably somewhere right around there. So um,
That reminds me of some of the artist sets available on Tops these days.
yeah,
They do those limited edition ones, and they're super cool. But the price points on them, it's if you're gonna buy some to flip some, it's tough to make a profit on them. Because on a per card basis, they end up being like $6-7 a card usually.
yep,
So it really doesn't fit into what we're trying to do typically, but
right,
I do like those special artist series. They do some really cool stuff. And for you to find that years later, I mean, that's the time to get it, right? Like
yep, yeah.
nobody's looking at those now, and you just kind of
I don't
stumble
even
across.
remember how I stumbled upon it. I think I was looking for Barry Sanders stuff and I saw that one line and I'm like, what the hell is this? This card is amazing. And I've never if it's a card I haven't seen before and I've been looking at cards forever,
Yeah,
I know it's not super common. So
yeah.
I looked up, what was available. There were a few people selling sets, a few people selling individual cards. This was a reputable dealer who had a sealed pack for $5. I was like, Jesus, you can't. I should be able to get $5 for the Marcus Allen card, you know. Um, I was like, that's the right price. I'm in. So I bought that. I got the nice little snap case with it too, which I like to use for bigger multiple card orders. So got a little piece of supplies out of it too, which is always a nice bonus. I was a pretty good seller, pretty good numbers on them and stuff. So I felt comfortable, taking a look at that. But um, and then I was like, well, should I keep it sealed? Nah, let's open that thing. Let's open it. I don't want to keep it sealed. What am I going to do with it sealed? Leave it sit somewhere because I don't have a correct holder for it or a place to display it. Nah, I'll
Yeah.
crack it, keep the one I want, and I'll sell the other ones. Um, but yeah, that's the kind of stuff that I'm buying. I have a really nice couple of lots that are going to be coming in the next couple of days. I think I'm just gonna. I have so much other stuff to list. I think I'm just gonna put all that stuff aside and maybe we'll leave a little bit bigger time slot next week for some sharing.
Okay.
Sharing is caring.
Sharing is
So
caring.
if you've got stuff coming in, Charlie, or you're buying stuff, I know you've been buying some boxes recently and that. If you want to set some cool stuff aside, I think sharing is a lot of fun. It's way more fun than talking about accounting. So accounting is important. Accounting isn't. That's like I
Very
tell Luna,
important.
because Luna is my daughter. She's amazing reader. Struggles a little bit in the math, and I said that's great, but you also have to have math, right? They're it's not as fun, but it's definitely important. So, by the way, I think that's it for the show this week. We're definitely over our 2 hour mark. Want to make sure we can get everybody off to bed and have a great start to their day tomorrow, if that's your persuasion. And do you work yet tonight, Charlie? Do you do stuff after the show, or do you?
Not tonight, no.
Yeah,
We're
me
gonna be
either.
getting to that time of year though, when football season starts up, where I'll be working around the
Yeah,
clock, basically.
yeah,
So
yeah. I was kind of wondering if that was something that had happened yet. Yeah, no, I go to bed. I'm a little bit earlier to bed guy, but I'll be up at 4 and in here and doing my work. So,
yeah.
um, yeah, it it's time consuming, but it's a ton of fun, and I really enjoy it. I really appreciate everyone joining us on the show. If you like it, please give us a thumbs up. Helps the channel. Share it if you think somebody else would enjoy this video. Make sure you subscribe. Ring the bell if you want to be notified next time we're going to be going live. I try to post sort of a pre time slotted video, if you will, hold placeholder, if you will, just so everybody knows. Oh yeah, it's 7 o'clock on Wednesday. We're going to be able to live, and these are some topics. So I hope we'll continue that. And we're going to work a little bit on StreamYard. I think we have some more features that we want to try out on there. Charlie was looking at doing some screen share stuff and things like that. We're not as tech savvy on this type of tech, so we're we're learning as we go, I guess. But as long as the show is entertaining and everybody has some fun conversations and gets something out of it, uh, you don't need the fancy screens um, to do that. So, but that's it. Any parting thoughts for you, Charlie?
I am gonna leave you with just one thing.
Yeah,
So have a
I,
good
I
night.
think I think that's enough right there. Bye, everybody.